Your mind is running software you never installed. It makes you sabotage good opportunities, choose toxic relationships, and stay stuck in the same place year after year. This isn't about willpower or motivation. There's an invisible operating system controlling your decisions, and it's been running since childhood. What if everything you think is a choice isn't? Let's get uncomfortable for a second. You think you're making decisions, choosing your career, your relationships, how you spend your time. But here's what neuroscience reveals. Most of what you call choices are actually automated responses running on decade-old programming. Picture this. You're about to take a risk that could change everything. A new job opportunity, a relationship with real potential, a business idea that excites you. Then suddenly, your mind floods with reasons why it won't work. You feel anxiety, your body tenses up. You convince yourself to wait, to be practical, to play it safe. That's not you thinking. That's your internal software protecting itself. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Your brain isn't designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. And alive, to your primitive nervous system, means predictable, even if that predictability is slowly killing your spirit. Research from cognitive neuroscience shows something disturbing. Up to 95% of our daily actions are unconscious. That means you're only consciously present for about 5% of your life. The rest? You're on autopilot, running scripts written by your past experiences, childhood wounds, and absorbed beliefs you never question. But here's where it gets really weird. These scripts weren't written by you. They were installed by other people. Your parents' fears became your limiting beliefs. Your first heartbreak created rules about vulnerability. That teacher who said you weren't smart enough, their voice still narrates your internal dialogue. And the most disturbing part, you defend these programs as if they're your true self. Someone suggests you could earn more, do better, be happier, and you immediately list reasons why that's impossible for you specifically. Those aren't facts. They're code. Old, outdated code that's been running so long you mistake it for reality. Only that's not the most unsettling thing. What really messes with people when they discover this is realizing how much of their life has been spent operating from fear disguised as logic. You thought you were being rational, strategic, careful, but you were just afraid. And your mind got really good at making fear sound intelligent. So here's the real question. If most of your decisions aren't really yours, who have you been all this time? What decision have you been avoiding that might actually be fear disguised as logic? How your comfort zone became a prison. Here's something that'll make you uncomfortable. You're addicted to your problems. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system has learned to associate those problems with identity. You are the person who struggles with money, the person who attracts unavailable partners, the person who starts things but never finishes. Take someone who constantly dates emotionally distant people. Every relationship follows the same script. Excitement, false hope, gradual withdrawal, painful ending. From outside, it's obvious, but to them, each time feels different. This one's different, they tell themselves. Except it never is. And here's why. Their nervous system recognizes that specific type of pain. It knows how to metabolize abandonment. It's familiar territory. Now imagine they meet someone actually available, someone ready for real connection. Their system goes haywire. Alarms everywhere. Because healthy love doesn't match their internal template for what love feels like. So what happens? Sabotage. They create distance. Find flaws that don't exist. Feel something's off when actually, for the first time, something's right. But right feels wrong when your system is calibrated for dysfunction. And this is where it gets really interesting. This mechanism doesn't just affect relationships. It infiltrates everything. Your career caps at a certain income level because deep down, you believe success means isolation or responsibility you can't handle. Your health plateaus because unconsciously, being the sick one gets you attention your healthy self never received. Research in behavioral psychology identifies this as homeostatic resistance, your system's drive to maintain equilibrium, even when that equilibrium is suffering. It's like a thermostat set to 65 degrees. Every time you try to turn up the heat, the system kicks in to bring you back down. But here's what shifts everything. The moment you see the pattern, it starts losing power. Awareness creates space, and in that space, choice becomes possible. Only there's a catch. Most people miss. Your mind is brilliant at creating sophisticated versions of the same old pattern. You think you've evolved, changed, grown. But really, you just upgraded the packaging. Same prison, nicer cell, new vocabulary to describe why you're still stuck. So the real work isn't just identifying patterns. It's staying vigilant as they shapeshift, watching how your mind will defend the familiar, even when the familiar is destroying you. That's the game. What problem in your life have you gotten so comfortable with that it's become part of your identity? The signal your brain sends before it sabotages you. Want to know the exact moment you're about to sabotage yourself? There's a signal, and once you learn to recognize it, everything changes. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's subtle, a tightness in your chest when opportunity appears. A flood of logical reasons why now isn't the time. Sudden exhaustion when you're about to do something important. That's your system activating its defense protocol. Most people interpret this as intuition telling them no. But it's not intuition. It's fear masquerading as wisdom. Your nervous system registering threat because you're about to step outside your programmed parameters. Let me give you a concrete example. Say you've always been the person who overextends, says yes to everything, sacrifices your needs for others. Your identity is built around being helpful. Now, try saying no to something you don't want to do. Watch what happens. Instant guilt, anxiety, fear of rejection. Not because saying no is wrong, but because it violates your operating code. My worth equals my usefulness. That code was probably installed young. Maybe you learned that being needed meant being loved. So you reinforced that behavior until it became automatic. But what worked at 8 is destroying you at 35. The strategy that once kept you safe is now keeping you small. And the wildest part, you'll defend that strategy as if it's who you are. Because admitting it's just old code means facing a terrifying question. If I'm not this, what am I? This is where most people turn back. The discomfort of not knowing who you are without your patterns feels worse than staying trapped in them. But that discomfort is actually the doorway. There's a practice that changes everything. Witnessing yourself without judgment. Not trying to fix or change immediately. Just observing. Watching the pattern activate. Noticing the justifications arise. Feeling the physical sensation in your body without reacting to it. Over time, something remarkable happens. The simple act of witnessing creates distance between you and the pattern. You start seeing, oh, there it is again. And in that tiny gap between trigger and reaction, real choice emerges for the first time. Drop in the comments, what's one pattern you're finally ready to stop defending? If this is landing for you, hit that like button and subscribe. We're going deeper into how the mind actually works. What physical sensation shows up in your body right before you sabotage yourself. Rewiring, installing new code that actually works. Alright, here's how you actually reprogram this thing. And I'll be straight with you. There's no shortcut, but there is a clear path. Step 1. Test your predictions against reality. Your brain operates on prediction loops. It forecasts what'll happen based on what happened before. So if you grew up believing people leave, your brain predicts abandonment constantly. The solution? Deliberately collect evidence that contradicts the prediction. Start small. Open up to someone trustworthy. Share something real. Observe what actually happens. Most times, the prediction fails. People don't leave. They lean in. And every time your brain's forecast is wrong, that old neural pathway weakens. You're literally updating its database with new information. Step 2. Attention with consciousness. Neuroplasticity is real, but it requires consistency. Your brain rewires based on what you practice. If you practice avoidance, you get better at avoiding. If you practice presence, you get better at presence. Simple, but not easy. Here's what they don't tell you. The first 3 weeks are brutal because you're fighting years of automation. But after that threshold, something shifts. The new behavior starts feeling natural. That's when you've hit critical mass. Step 3. Protect your new operating system from external saboteurs. Because it's not just your own mind that resists change. The people around you will too. They're used to the old version of you. When you evolve, they feel threatened. They'll try to pull you back, consciously or unconsciously. This is where boundaries become essential. And this opens something most people aren't ready for. Real growth means leaving some people behind. Not out of cruelty, but because you're no longer operating on the same frequency. And that's okay. It's part of the process. But the most critical piece, self-compassion. You're going to slip. Return to old patterns sometimes. That's not failure. That's being human. What matters isn't never falling, it's getting up faster each time. And here's what's fascinating. The more you practice this, the more you realize you were never trying to become someone new. You were always trying to remove the false layers and find who you've been underneath all that programming the whole time. The invisible loop. It only controls you while you can't see it. Now you can. What's the first micro step you're taking today to break your loop? If this video hit different, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Change starts when we stop pretending everything's fine. After everything we've covered, what's the one thing you're doing differently tomorrow? Disclaimer: this content is for educational and reflective purposes regarding personal development. It does not replace professional, psychological, or psychiatric care.